Yo, what's going on, brothers?
What's going on, man?
Yo,
All right, and this is another Breaking in the Narrative podcast. I am Mark Anthony, and I'm here with.
I'm Tony.
Teddy.
All right. So we got a good subject here for y'all today. Big Brother conversations, and what this subject is typically about is basically for those who may not have a male figure to kind of follow behind. For those who are getting older, or for those who are already older but still kind of finding a way. For those who really need the tips, definitely tune in for this one. I'm pretty sure we got some good things to pick up on and definitely discuss our experiences here. One of y'all gentlemen would like to kind of discuss y'all experiences so far as like, having a male figure to walk behind, or were you a male figure yourself? Or was it just like y'all finding y'all way?
Okay. So, me personally, or would you like to go first?
No, you go ahead.
All right, just making sure. I don't want to impede. But what's wrong with the word impede, bro? Like,
There you go.
what the?
SAT Mike, early appearance.
All right, bro.
Go
Fuck
ahead.
you, bro. Fuck you, man. So, growing up, my situation was rather iffy. So I started off with, I'll say, early years. I was dealing with not having a father figure around, because technically I had just my grandfather. But he was a father figure, but he wasn't around that long from, because I was 1 to 4, and then I moved. So that was somewhat of a detachment from that. So I moved to North Carolina with my mom, and it was just me, my mom, and my sister. So first and foremost, mom's a single mom, obviously. So when I had to live in North Carolina and shit, I'm living real close to my father's side of the family, but I'm just not seeing him, which is odd. But he was a real military dude, so he was always overseas or off in a completely different state or some shit. Never really got a chance to talk to him much, and he wasn't around. So I'm pretty much dealing with trying to figure out how to be a boy. Technically, I'm trying to learn how to be a boy from a woman. My mom's teaching me how to be a boy when she's not one. And then I had later on in life, I'm dealing with unstable father figures, where a very sensitive moment where my mom's dealing with she's married to somebody who's not good with kids at all. And I'm trying my best to learn things that are good from somebody who's not really a good person. I'm trying to nitpick, take out all the good and the bad, take out all the bad out, and then take just the good and keep that. But it wasn't really much good to take in.
Right.
So I'm on my own.
Okay.
And then once that situation was gone, I was already fucked. At that point, I was already fucked. I had almost no idea of where I was going in life. Not a single shred of confidence or anything of that nature. I was consistently put in a situation where we talked about, me and Mark, we talked about this. Was it yesterday or was it the day before?
This was the day before.
Yeah, the day before. So my mom had no idea about this, but my situation was I was getting beat on a lot. Nobody knew about this. Only my mom. Well, my mom didn't know. I was getting that shit a lot. So pain was everything to me. It was either I existed with pain, or pain was just let me re-explain. It's either pain was just my forefront or I'm lost. That's the only thing I recognize. So having to deal with that from somebody who is older, like older,
Right.
like literally your mother's age, like that's what you're getting. That's what you're receiving. That's what you believe. I had a knife put to my neck at one point because I was injured. I think I contused my ankle, and then I ended up like I was young. I cried a lot, which was a natural thing for me because pain. That was my reaction to pain. I was so used to it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I ended up like calling for my mom and some shit like that, he got annoyed with that. So the next day she goes to work. He comes up to me with his youngest son. Well, his youngest son was like 15. I was 10. So comes up to me with his son, and then he has a knife to my neck and he's like, "Why the hell did you keep me up all night?" and some shit like that. I'm like, wait, what the fuck is this? I'm by myself, literally by myself. Like nobody's around. Not even like nobody wants to help. Like that's the biggest thing for me. Like nobody tried to help. Not a single person. Because nobody knew. I was scared to say anything. So this is what I'm learning with absent father figures and then having father figures that are piss poor.
Right.
So by the time a good one came around, I was already lost. So that was when my stepfather, the one I hold near and dear to my heart, my stepfather, after him, Tyrone, like he ended up being like one of the most positive people that I've known as far as like being a father figure, outside of like my grandfather and then my uncles and stuff like that. But they weren't around all the time, so it wasn't something that I can just look at them and just say, "Hey, can I talk to you about this?" Like I couldn't do that because I really didn't want to talk to people after that. After dealing with the shit I was dealing with, I didn't want to talk to nobody. I was skeptical on everybody's decisions. So once he came around, then I started to like really get out of my bag of just saying, you know what, everybody is fucking horrible. Everybody. I hate everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So he ends up like giving me more of a man-to-man type of feel. Like you're going to learn how to be a man, but you're also going to be able to learn on your own because I can't tell you how to be you.
Okay.
So I was getting a crash course into something that I wasn't prepared for, so I was hesitant to actually receive it because of the situation I was already put in. And now I look back on them, was like, yeah, it was a lot of things I had that, a lot of things that I had going for me that I didn't know I had going for me because I was so lost in the sauce, so to speak.
I mean, that's not your fault, though.
In a way, it kind of is because I had opportunities to pursue, but I just chose not to because of, the traumas and all that other shit. I still fault myself for it. I will not put 100% of the blame on somebody else because I have all of the tools I need in order for me to persevere or move forward.
Right.
So at the end of the day, it is on me in certain aspects. So take the blame. That accountability, still you gotta make sure that you keep that accountability.
Right.
And then, like I was saying, dealing with my father or my stepfather, like hearing him do all of the things that he was, or knowing that he was doing all the things that he was doing, and being not only a great father from all of the kids that I met from that he had, and also being a great father for the two that he didn't even have say so in like birthing. Like that wasn't him. Mm-hmm. I wasn't a part of him technically, but he treated me the same. So it's not something that you're used to when you come from a situation where the stepfathers tend to be horrible. Like you go from apples to oranges after a while, and you're just like, shit, I'm used to the oranges. Where the hell did the apple come from?
Right.
So when I initially took all of that in, and we actually got our chance to like sit down, talk, have our conversations, and like he was one of the greatest people that I could talk to when it came to serious situations, and we would have long conversations, and I appreciated that shit.
Right.
Unfortunately, he ended up dying when I was 20.
Mm.
And then having a good situation turn horrible. I was like, bro, what the fuck am I gonna do now? Like, I had my grandfather, sure, but I couldn't talk to him that often
Right.
because he works like he was working all the way up until he was like 77, some shit like that. Like, I can't talk to him that often.
Right.
And he'll go to work at like 3 in the afternoon and will get home like 11:30. So what am I gonna do? I don't have nobody to talk to. I ain't have like friends, family, or shit like that. My dad, like y'all, like if y'all know, or if y'all know the podcast, you've heard the story about the situation when I went to meet my dad. Well, not meet with him, but actually stay with him. You know the story.
Right.
So I'm not calling him either. I don't want to talk to them. So I'm technically lost, like completely. So I have nowhere to go. I'm trying to be a man on my own. I'm making so many boneheaded mistakes that could have been avoided had I just had somewhat of a positive role model around.
Right.
But without those mistakes, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. So I'm thankful for them. However, I could always have had that little bit of help, and I would have appreciated it a lot more because I would have been well equipped and would not have made said mistakes, or at least would not made as many of them.
Right.
So typically, with that being said, is there anything that you really would change, or would you just keep it the same?
Let's see. As far as changing is concerned, I wouldn't want to bring anybody back from the dead because I believe things like this. Dealing with my stepfather, like he was going to dialysis consistently. Why would I bring somebody back just for them to be in pain again? I don't want to do that. Same thing, like in 2017, my grandfather died. I didn't have anybody after that. Like, I wouldn't want to bring him back in the pain that he was dealing with before he went. So I would not take away anything because, like the whole butterfly effect thing, one small thing can change who I am today.
Right.
So I accept every single last thing that happened to me, every single thing that I did to other people because of that, and then I will live with it and then continue to persevere in spite of it, because of who I am. I will not want to change a bit of what I am now.
Okay. So piggyback question, not so much of changing your past or how or the experiences that you went through, but is there anything that you would do differently?
Well, doing differently.
Like what is it that being a male role model look like to you? Like, what would you do? Paint that picture for us.
Being a positive male role model for me, it would be first and foremost being attentive. That's one thing young boys need. They need that attentiveness. They need somebody who they can call on and say, you know what, I have a question and I feel like only you can answer that. So can I come to you when I have these problems or I have these questions? That's something that so many of us lack, because it's many kids out here that's just like, okay, how do I tie a tie? Just simple shit. I still don't know how to tie a tie to this day. I had to look that shit up on YouTube, and I forgot as soon as I did it the first time, and I had my ties tied up on a hanger ever since. Certain shit like that, just small things like that, can make a big difference in a child's life. So that attentiveness, and also attention to detail. Know the child, not just listen to them, just so you can respond. Actually know them. Get to the bottom of who they are. Because I've dealt with my nephews and stuff like that. Like, I try to be a positive male role model in their life because they really don't have much to look forward to, because, like I said, my stepfather died. That was their grandfather. They were alive when he died. The last thing you want to hear is Well, around that time, I think my youngest nephew was like 4. The last thing you want to hear is a child ask, "Is he dead?" That's the last thing you want to hear, because then you have to explain it to him, and then he feels the effects of that every single day. I know he does, which is a lot of the reason why he acts out is the way that he does. But if I talk to him, and I'm stern, and I make sure that I'm listening and I'm giving him all the feedback he needs, it's different than when he's dealing with the females in the house. That male assertiveness, it shuts all of that down. So I try my best to make sure I'm teaching. Like, just also be a teacher. Don't just say things. Actually know what you're talking about. Because it's the last thing you want is to give the child the wrong information and then they go out and do a whole bunch of dumb shit. Because there's a lot of people in their 40s that don't know shit about life. It's tons of them. Because you see so many like adults out here doing completely dumb shit for no apparent reason other than the fact that they can. Like, I know you can attest to that. You've seen quite a few of them. So I would just say like those 3 things: just being attentive, being a good teacher, listening, like not to respond, but listen in order to learn. Those are like the biggest things that you need. And as far as children are concerned, that's all. But I mean, also, you can also just be around. You can exist in their world.
All right, so I definitely got something to say to that. But before I get started on my story, Ted, do you want to go next or?
No, you go ahead.
All right, cool. So this definitely has been like a bit of a rabbit hole for the past couple of days since I've been thinking about it. And this is why I definitely wanted to talk about it today and really get into it, because when I really took the time to sit back for a few minutes to really think about it, it was just like, damn, like, yeah, man, I mean, it's legit important. Like, obviously it's something important as a man, you know, but when you really sit back and think about it, it's just like, damn, like, I really do need this. It's just the concentration of how dire it is really, you know, presents itself.
Right.
So I've had my male figures around. I grew up in a household with a older brother. Biologically, he is my uncle. And my dad, who is biologically my grandfather. I was raised by my grandparents because I was adopted by them before I was even a year old. So I had male figures in the house. And so when you, like you mentioned, Mike, that just being around, I get that. But sometimes, you know, it obviously, to me, it takes more than just being around. Mm-hmm. Because there's a slight difficulty with that comes with that. Like, you being around and then you're not really learning something. Like, there's a chance that you were like, well, damn, all this time you're around, I wish I learned something from you. And there's times I really do feel like that. So, like, there are some things that I've learned from my dad. You know, he taught me how to ride a bike. He got me into watching football a little bit. I mean, I'm more of a person who likes to play the sport than to watch it. Mm-hmm. But he's taken me out to games. He wanted to spend time with me going to games, you know, because he's a real huge fan.
Yeah, I would agree with him. He's a huge fan.
Big fan. So, you know, there are some things he has typically taught me along the way as a child. And then when it came to like going to certain places to get snacks, like, it was always him. Dad, could we go to the mini mart? You know, like, that was our time that we go out and spend. But also generally he was quite busy with work himself. And then when it comes to my brother, also known as biologically as my uncle, you know, that's my biological mother's younger brother. There was a period of time where we were quite close when I was younger, you know, relying on him and stuff like that. And he was at a point in time a protective big brother, and I can kind of say he is now, but the relationship that we have is very funny, so it's an odd way of showing it, and there's rare moments that, you know, certain equations that have to happen in order for you to really witness that moment.
Okay.
But we grew apart quite a bit because the long and the short, I guess you would say siblings will be siblings, but there was really no mending for certain moments. Okay. So we eventually end up growing apart, and we've start having more battles, and those battles left their scars, if you will. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a point where we really don't talk to each other much. We could pass each other all the time and not really say anything, and that's just the rapport that we have. But as far as like learning from anybody, I'm from a family where the older male cousins was always around. We used to, you know, wrestle, play around, and all that. We've had those joking moments, you know, right. Test your tough skin and all that,
right,
and your durability. So we definitely had moments like that. As a kid, of course, I've always been around the older guys where they was just like, as they were teenagers, I always had the talk about, yeah, man, you know, such and such. We talked about girls a lot. And of course, you know, being at the age that I was at, it was just like, I mean, I'm not really picking up what you putting down too much because I'm a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I like girls and all that, and I'm around them, but at the same time, I didn't know the magnitude of the weight of from the actions that I was doing, because I was, like I said, when I was around women a lot, and they thought I was the cutest thing, and it was just like, hey, it's cute. They smiled, they cheered, they applauded, and there it is. Not really knowing what it was that I was doing, you know.
Yeah.
So
hold on, you said they applauded?
Yeah, they was just like, yeah, like there was. I remember this moment clear as day. There was time I was a kid, and so being that my mom was so involved with like the, you know, teenage development. Mm-hmm. She worked at a community center, and we always go on trips in the mountains and stuff like that. We used to go to camps and stay the night. And so there was a time where I can't remember how old I was, but I always wanted to go. And finally I had chances to go. Mm-hmm. And so the camps was big enough where they could separate sides, boys, girls. And of course there's the median that we always meet at the mess hall and all that.
You talking about the Camp Protection, John, right?
No, not this one. This one I can't remember, but this was maybe Camp Misty Mount or something like that.
Oh no, I ain't heard of that shit.
So there was a time.
Shit sound like mountains around.
Like, so I do remember there was a girl that was kind of after me, and I always try to get advice from my cousins who were like a couple years or so older than me, but at the same time they were still around my same age, so it was like, you know, it wasn't too effective stuff. And yet again, I'm still a child trying to please somebody who's a teenager, and you know, I found out she had a crush and stuff like that. So certain conversations she was having with me, I didn't know what to do with them, but she was pursuing. But also I do know there were twin sisters. Mm-hmm. This moment I'm walking out, like walking up, and so they were kind of like one on each side.
Okay.
And I'm just kind of like holding them like this, like from the arms expanded out, holding them by the waist, just walking up, not really knowing what it is that I'm doing, or paying attention. And so when they're walking up, they was like, yeah, little Marky Mark, such. And I'm just sitting there smiling and cheesing like, yeah, but not really getting the moment.
Never had that happen to me. It's pretty man problems.
So it was just like shit like that. But as I got older, started lifting weights or whatever, because I started lifting weights before I was really a preteen. So I started getting very active and stuff like that. And so I started.
You said as a preteen?
Before I was really a preteen, like maybe
10, 11?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
So, it was just like.
I don't even think I knew what weights was at 10.
So there was always
had some.
it was
Just
this
didn't use 'em.
old weight room that we had at the rec center, and like I said, I always was being up.
He got
under,
luxury because cousin Lynn actually worked at a rec center
Yeah.
that has a weight room.
So
Oh, okay.
so there was. I always wanted to be up under the older fellas. You know, I was the annoying little mascot. I was everybody's annoying little brother.
Okay.
So I always try to hang up under them and stuff like that. And they was in the weight room, and I try to lift a couple of weights or whatever, you know, struggling and this X, Y, and Z. Then I start realizing, you know, I got strength. And I don't know if you ever seen one of those old machines where you got the pads that go, you step under and they're on your shoulders.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
stand straight up. I've started realizing I'm start lifting big weights.
Right.
I was like, damn, I get to do this as a kid. So, you know, shit like that. I started getting more involved. And so I had the older cousins that were like, yeah, man, you're still lifting weights and you're still doing this and such, you know, little side conversations here or there. So I was involved somewhat with older male figures, but it was slight periodic moments. It wasn't like something that would stamp in as I was getting older.
Okay.
When I'm hitting teenage years and going to high school and all this other shit, that's where really like life experiences was starting to teach me, because Dad, he was starting to be more available because as he was getting older, eventually he was working towards retirement.
Mm-hmm.
But what I know my dad for most of the time was the authoritarian figure, the loud voice, the angry man, the one who yells when you're in trouble.
Yeah, I think a lot of parents are like that. I think that's one thing like a lot of parents do. That they don't necessarily give you like the advice. They wait till you fuck up.
Yeah.
And so like I feared it to a point.
Mm-hmm.
The ass whoopings, all that.
Yeah.
And then it got so repetitive to a point it was like it's no longer fear in me no more. Like I grew out of it, and it was just like you think if you want to do it, you can do it. At this point, you're just a man who's putting me on punishment, and I'm listening to you because you're dad.
Whooping, stop hurting after a while.
Yeah, shit like that. And of course, like again, me and my brother, we were still growing apart. Now I do have biological brothers, but I didn't know I had actually had siblings until I was like 14 or 15.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mentioned to you earlier today,
Right.
when my biological parents pulled up in a truck, there was people sitting in the back seat waving at me, and I was just waving back because it was just like, you know, people waved to me, I waved back, not knowing who it was that I was waving to. Then eventually my biological mom was having a conversation with me. She was like, yeah, you do have siblings. You're not the only child. Like, yeah, you are the only child of mine, but you do have siblings from your father, from other women.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it took up to a point where I officially met my siblings during Christmas. And then we exchanged gifts and talking and stuff like that, wanting to spend time. And it was almost as if we really never skipped a beat. Like we were never really separated, because all of them, including my biological parents, they all stayed in the area of Montgomery County while I'm still out here in PG. And so it was just like, I'm thinking like so much time was missed. Am I really going to fit in or whatever? I was too worried about being the black sheep. But like when I do spend times around my older brothers, because out of 4, I'm the baby boy.
Right.
And then there's my younger sister, who's literally just a year younger than me.
Okay.
So when I actually started spending time around my brothers, like it felt good. Like, he used to make jokes like, yeah, man, this is supposed to be my younger brother, but I'm taller than they are.
Right.
Bigger too.
Right.
Like, I was the mask. I was the one with the muscles and all that shit. So, you know, we always got into the brotherly fights and wrestling and stuff, like not arguments, but like wrestling. Like now my brother 7, or Godfrey, that's his real name, he used to, you know, give me love taps just to test my resolve. And I love it because, you know, for one, just knowing him as who he is as a person, if he fuck with you, he fuck with you. If he don't, good luck to you. So just to really see that he mattered enough to test that was like fun for me. And we wrestled all the time. Like I even had a time where I had a girlfriend come over, and I can't remember how old I was, but I was still a teenager. And so she was at their house, and I haven't seen them in a grip. The first thing we did was like, hey, what's up? And we out on the front line and just start going for it. And it freaked her the fuck out. And she was with my sister. She was like, oh my God, what's going on? And she was just like, it's good. That's just how they say hello, and I miss you. Like, we will wrestle and fight. And then be like, all right, good shit. We done. You know, and that's how it was with the older brothers too. So like, it was just fun being the youngest, the baby boy, being able to manhandle my older brothers and shit, you know, because I had the resolve to do so type of shit. But when it came back to just being at home, there was really no male figures to follow behind. Again, being at the community center, I've known other male figures, but I wasn't around them enough. And it was so easy to get disconnected. You know, yeah, you could be a phone call away if you have the number. But I'm going through life, school, I have to do homework, blah, 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 just life. So it wasn't always a reach out. So I'm basically learning as I go. When puberty started hitting more, I think I've had the talk one time, and that was from Mom.
Same.
Yeah, so it's just like, you know, and see, the thing is, it came in because she heard about a conversation that I was having amongst my cousins, and that's when she was like, well, it's a scare, and now it's time to have the talk. And see, the thing is, it didn't seem to be proven effective to me as much because, one, it was coming from Mom, and I was like, all right, cool, we had the talk. I'm already kind of like in the mix already, but yeah, like, thanks that we had the talk. But two, I just felt like it was biased as well because she tried to coddle me so much. And I, as a child, I was up under her a lot. I was shy because of the experiences that I had from, you know, the separation from my actual mother. So I just felt like certain things were just biased, and there was a lot of things that I disagree with. So it was just like, it's not too hopeful. And again, I'm already in the mix before you had to talk with me. So there was that. And again, Dad is still just the dad who's like, if he's upset, he's upset. And he's the guy that fusses. Even to now, there's times I'm just avoidant because I'm like, bro, like, that's the vibration I don't even want to be around. Because now where I am is it's like, sometimes it feels like he's dealing with inferiorities and I don't care for it.
Okay.
So I'm like, bro, like, you feel that way and you got stuff going on with you and I get it, but that's not me and that's not my problem to deal with. So now I don't want to be around it. But if you're forcing me to be around it or feel like I'm back against the wall for it, now it's just like, that's where it becomes an aggressive situation, which I don't want. But if it has to happen, it's going to happen. Because now you're not going to keep backing me against the wall because that's a form of bullying to me and I don't fuck with that. Like, I just wanted to be at peace, but now I'm not at peace, so you're going to get some clap back. And then there's going to be a gaslighting situation where you want me to feel bad for responding the way I did. And now you got me feeling bad for something that I possibly had the right to feel. One, because of being human, and two, because it could be your fault. So I kind of be avoiding with him a lot of times. And again, me and my brother, it's rare that it's a high and by. And when it came to my biological father, I didn't even know what this man looked like until maybe 15. He was literally just a voice. Every time he was around, I heard his voice. I knew what his voice was like. And I was like, that's my father. There was a time where I was at a funeral and my mom was consoling me. And I'm in the back seat and she had a wet cloth on my forehead or whatever. And so she began to cover my face entirely so I couldn't see. And then I heard my father walk up. How I know? Because I know his voice. My mom had her palm over top of the towel where my eyes were. And I didn't attempt to try to remove it. I guess she just felt like she wasn't ready, or she felt like I wasn't ready to see my father.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is really fucking
crazy. Yeah, and then when I finally seen him, the lights were out because I was dropping my mom off. I was walking her into the house and everything like that. And I was kind of like, yeah, I want to see Dad. I want to see Pop. And so she called him down, and he came down. But it was just enough lighting to upstairs that it can cast a shadow, but the lights weren't on downstairs. So I could see a figure in the middle of the steps. And I hear the voice again, but I don't see his face.
So this nigga, he's technically like an ominous
Yeah.
figure in your life.
Yeah. So and that was the first time
Literally.
I actually seen my father physically. Then when I began to see him, when I first met him, I was like, yeah. Like, they was like, yeah, this is your father. You know, like, meet your father, such and such, you know. And I just already knew that was my father.
Mm-hmm.
I can just look at him and tell. One, because both of my parents, I look like them both. If you have me with one separately, you're like, yeah, that's your parent. You can tell. But at the same time, it was just like a moment, just feeling it. I was like, yeah, I know that's my father. I can just look at this man and tell that's my father. And so he's there now for sure, you know, because both of my parents are together and they've always been together. But the situation wasn't quite right. The environment wasn't quite right for me to be around in the life. And so that had to be figured out amongst them two. And that's why I was separated from them. But he's definitely there now. We do have these, conversations that I enjoy so much. Smoke a cigar, have a sip of old age whiskey, and we even talk about business. Like upcoming business, building foundations, and shit like that. Like we actually have, there's land that's owned by a family in Jamaica, and we talked about how there's going to be branches of this and that and so on, and how that's going to, be built on the way up, and then how it's going to be a generational wealth. Because now my father, he's the patriarch now since my grandfather passed. So it's just a lot of communication and conversations that I enjoy so much. But when it comes to like really like learning the basics, dealing with women, I now it's like, the typical things of how to treat a woman. You want to try to treat them your best, but sometimes you don't know all the true tricks of what that is and what that looks like. Or dealing with managing your anger, dealing with the male stigmas and shit. Because it's like, yeah, you deal with the world and you got your problems, and then sometimes you just got to bottle it in because some people just don't feel comfortable or safe around you or whatever. And then I was also an avoided child where I couldn't really discuss things with my parents because they didn't know how to take it.
Right. Agreed.
So it's just like, I'm learning all this on my own. Like life literally was teaching me. I was around again with my cousins or about the same age. And this is what I will always say, we laugh about it all the time. A group of black boys around the same age as teenagers on up. And most of the time the majority of the time when we gathered around each other and stayed around each other the most is where we was at my aunt's house. And it was basically deliverance. It was a turf farm there. All this land, woods, and imaginations. We were the original jackasses. Well, no, we weren't the original jackasses, but when we saw it, it was on. We were stuntmen at that point, doing any and everything. So we got into that, smut magazine, shit like that, all, the typical boys stuff. And it's kind of like a bit of a shock, but it's just like, all right, I'm learning this and 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 this. And then again, you don't have that older male figure to kind of really manage that, to kind of teach you the better things and how to control shit like that.
Right.
So that, I was learning as I go, to a point where I had definitely had a tougher life, especially in the love field. There's experiences where I've got locked up a few times, and it's just like I had to learn a lot of things the hard way. I wasn't a bad person, but there were fucked up situations that I was in because I allowed my emotions to be so involved with it, trying to make things right. I had to learn the hard way of who to fuck with and who not to fuck with, and who to keep around and who to try to fight for and who not to try to fight for. And so it took very fucked up situations and experiences for me to learn a lot of shit. To learn like, well, I don't like that. I don't fuck with that. That's not me. Now I live by a code a lot of times, and it also like shows in my demeanor how I walk and talk and stuff like that too, that's who I am. So I literally, even to this day, I'm still discovering a lot of who I am, and especially as a man. But also, I do have younger male figures who look up to me. I have a friend's nephew who likes to ask me questions all the time. And he's up under me quite a bit to a point where it really affects him. Like, it was a minute before that I seen him, and he was like, "Marcus on the phone, let me talk to him." And he cried. And she was like, "Well, why are you crying?" He was like, "I haven't seen him in so long." And so, even to a point where like we was walking and stuff, he was like, "You're so cool, you're this and this. I wish you were my dad." And I was like, "Why do you say that?" I mean, I wasn't offended, and I didn't want to ward him off from it, but I was just like curious. I was like, "What makes you say that?" Because he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself at the moment that felt worthy of even such a title. Of course, I want to be a father one day, and I would love to be able to provide whatever information that I have and experiences and stuff like that, and be supportive as much as possible as a father or a stepfather or whatever. I pray about it every day. But like, I just wanted to see what it is that he saw. And so that kind of goes into what it was, what would I change? I guess I really wouldn't change anything either. But what I would do differently definitely is to be transparent. Yes, be existent. But also be honest about what it is that you know. And as boys, we're going to make our mistakes regardless. But it's like the biggest part is still being there to support when they come back and say, "Hey, can I talk to you? This happened." Then what information and advice do you got then? You know, how can you kind of, all right, well, what did you learn? Or if you do have an opportunity to kind of prevent something before it happens, here's what I suggest. I hope you pick it up. If you have a chance to come and see me afterwards and you still make your choice, whether it's the total opposite, I'm still here and we can discuss it further. Okay, so you went through that. This is possibly why. Like, let's talk about why you went through this. And this is what it looks like. This is what it means, and so on and so forth. So it's just like literally just being that coach. Because, again, being existent, you can always just be there. My dad was. He was there. But I wasn't learning nothing from him. I had, like you, there was probably 2 moments where I tried to learn how to tie a tie. Wasn't effective. You want to know how I know how to tie the best knots of my tie now? Plug. We're not getting paid for it, but I definitely do believe for male listeners, this is very lucrative, and shout out to them. The Art of Manliness. theartofmanliness.com. I went to that website and learned how to fucking tie all types of ties from that. And they also got podcasts on YouTube, which I was even listening to this morning. So it took shit like that for me to really learn. As a grown man, I'm 30 now, and I'm like, yeah, man, there might be something that I missed. Was how do you pick out the best cologne? How many sprays of cologne do you put on? When you want to dress up, what's the good tips of picking out a good dress shirt? There's so much shit that I discovered that's out there that I didn't even know existed. And I was just like, damn, I learned none of this shit. I learned how to fish from a late aunt's boyfriend. I got into fishing from him. And an older man named Mr. Monty, who used to live across the street from me in my old neighborhood. Or a teacher from elementary school who I also called dad, because I had more moments that I smiled with him than it was with my actual father.
All right.
So, you know, that's a hell of an experience for me that I get, like I said, I probably wouldn't change, because I do feel like I turned out pretty okay. I know for a fact I could have been worse. And for a lot of people, even females, they'd be like, yeah, man, like, despite of what you went through, I can't really tell too much of the difference sometimes, because like I really like look at you in the way how you present yourself, especially at work and stuff. Like, you did a good job. So, you know, the only thing that I would do differently is just try my best to be around for those who are really who don't have access to that or really look for that.
I can attest to that. I can definitely attest to that. But before you go, I have one thing to say. With being like a father figure, there's one thing I left out. And this is a doozy. I'll tell you that right now. As a father, there's one thing to be manly, but then there's another thing to just be plain old mean. For a child, you do not want your son to feel as though I can't talk to him because he's not going to understand my feelings.
Yeah, like the dominance thing is like you gotta really have a limiter for certain shit. Because a lot of people, that macho man shit, it don't work.
Yeah.
Cause like I said, I felt like I dealt with that quite a bit from my dad, and it's just like I've heard him say things like, one time I heard him say, I'm the head nigga of this house, and I'm sitting there thinking like, bro, like you sitting there yelling and shouting and all this other stuff. I don't give a fuck about that. And that's the type of attitude I do have. I'm not looking to really take over. I'm here to exist the best way I can. I don't want to take over none of your shit. In fact, I want to have my own. And how I knew, there was finally a time where me and my dad actually fought. But it wasn't like going blow for blow. But I had my breaking point. I had my older brother at times where he was bigger and all that. He was like, yeah, you want to take this outside? And that was the threat that I always try to avoid. You want to take this outside? We can take this outside. You want to be Billy Badass? I'll show you Billy Badass. Now it's just like, of course, I'm older, I'm bigger, but now my tolerance wore out because I used to hear that shit all the time. And I'm like, I was going through a moment where I guess he felt like his dominance was in question. So he's just like, yeah, you want to take this outside? And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Yeah, let's go outside. And it ended up with me on top, and I'm pressing him out, damn near about to like really choke him. And I'm like, dog, you gonna chill out? You gonna leave me the fuck alone? You done? And all he could say was, get off of me, get off of me. And I realized, I'm like, dog, like, not only is my dad, but this is my grandfather biologically. And I'm just like, man, dog, this ain't no honorable code. So I got up, and then he was just like, get out of my house, get out of my house. Like basically his pride was in question. He felt he was hurt. And so what I'm saying about that is, really, you want to check your pride at the door. Because for real, you don't want to teach, especially a younger man. You don't want them to pick up on that shit. You don't want them to feel like, ego really is the thing to be a man. Like, fuck all that. That's a destructive path. It could probably work for some, but there's not too many out there who will do that. And if they are, they're aggressive as fuck, and they're out there being boxers, MMA fighters, or whatever. If they found somebody who could really give them an outlet like that, shit like Tyson. Though Tyson met somebody while he was younger, there are some people who met while they were older, and it sometimes is really difficult to change your life around after a certain amount of years.
That's true. So, Abe,
Yeah.
I know.
Huh?
My man been waiting. He waiting in the wings.
I was like, damn, I ain't.
Yeah, man, I'm over here checking the clock and shit, bro. But you know what, man, we definitely gonna let you get yours in, man. I definitely felt like you got something good to say, because I definitely have been learning from you as well.
I appreciate that. So, as a kid, my life has been like, I'll use unique to describe it. So, my father died at a very, very young age.
Yeah.
Off bucks. So, my father figure was out the window. And like I was explaining to you earlier, off air, as you already know, my siblings are extremely older than me.
Mm-hmm. Papa was a Rolling Stone.
So, it came down to, how you said earlier, your parents they kind of tell you like the basic stuff, but as you get older, it's supposed to be like different levels to the information.
Yeah.
But I feel like, as far as like how my mom kind of carried it, was like, if I wasn't getting in trouble, she wasn't gonna say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I would do something out of the ordinary to get in trouble, well, then she would like harp on me for that. And it's like, well, how would I know? You should have said that from the get go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, when it comes to like all of my life lessons, a few of them did come from my mom, but a lot of them came from like really just us banding together around here.
Yeah, y'all had a real tight knit group.
You know what I'm saying? It was like I had friends my age. We had like the older guys we would look up to, and it was like, to make one of the points to piggyback off of what you were saying was like, even if you do have like an older figure, like we're only learning from where they fucked up at. Mm-hmm. So in essence, we gonna be still fucking up because they not perfect. But it's like they did something, they learned from it. Yo, I wouldn't do this. You might want to do that. All right, cool. I'm gonna try to do that. Yo, that didn't work, so we not gonna do that either. You know what I'm saying? I gotta call Mike up like, yo, cuz told me don't do it this way. I tried to do it this way. That way ain't work either.
Abort mission.
Like you might want to go that route. And then it's just like everybody's like scratching and clawing until like, oh yeah, this over here work. You know what I'm saying? And it's like everybody run to this. Yeah, like this how you talk to girls. You know what I'm saying? Like it took. I would say for me personally, especially when it comes to like talking to girls, like I always credit that to my best friend Charles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know the story.
Yeah, he was super smooth with like the females at a very, very young age. Like we was like 9 and 10, and he was already like probably like how you was with the females and stuff. Mark, you know what I'm saying? He's just like super over with the females. Like we'd go to the mall, it could be 4 of us, we'll see 4 females, all 4 females just want him. Like that's how over he was. So like, you know what I'm saying? And it was like, you know, because it happens like times a million nowadays. You know, eventually guys could get jealous of that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like it's easy for guys to be like, yeah, you know, every time we go to the mall with this nigga, he getting all the girls. Let's just leave him. No, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Don't take him to the mall. Me, I had like the reverse mindset because I'm like, yo, he's a magnet. Chicks are eventually going to fall. Eventually, one of them is going to be like, yo, who's that right there? You know what I'm saying? And I'm just waiting for the moment. So, you know, I used to pull him to the side like, hey, Sam, I don't know what you be saying to the females, but I want that. You know what I'm saying? Other niggas is mad. Other niggas get jealous. Slim, teach me the way, Slim. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, hey, Baby Yoda, you got the answers, man. Like, and then he's just like, you know, you got first and foremost, you gotta develop a style or whatever, because you know, as kids, we kids.
Niggas still wearing Elmo t-shirts and shit.
Yeah, you ain't got no. Like I said, we 9, 10. We ain't got no style or nothing like that. But see,
I want light up shoes.
Yeah, but see him. He was like 9 years old, but he was like a 16, like 9 years old. Like he had a style because he's from New York and shit. So he got the throwback jerseys, like how I dress now. He got the throwback jerseys. He got the baggy jeans. He got the do-rag, the Jordans, and you know what I'm saying? He had a style. So he was like more advanced than everybody. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, like, to bring it back into the topic is like, with females, I seen what he did work. So I would go to him for the females. Like, if Mike was to do something and I see that it works for him, then I'm going to go to Mike for that. And then once you add in like a whole community, because you, like you said, you can attest like how many of us it is. You know what I'm saying? You add in a whole community, somebody has to be good at something. Mm-hmm. Yep. Everybody can at least bring one thing to the table. Like when we have a cookout, everybody just bring whatever you can bring, just bring. And because everybody's known for something. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it really was just by committee.
Yeah.
Like what's the cliche? It takes a village?
Yeah, it takes a village to raise a child.
It really,
I really do believe that shit.
It really was like on some committee type shit. Like the time we went to go shooting at the school and we seen like the older dudes at the court. It's like, it's been endless times where I just had to like, not even cool, like not even super close with them. But it's like, yo, I done known these niggas for like 20 years. I need some advice, man.
Yeah. And then, well, I got to say one thing. Mm-hmm. For the viewers, when he says shooting, we're talking about filming.
Oh yeah. My bad. Yeah, filming.
Yeah, I legit thought that somebody was getting capped off.
Because that's one of the jokes that we even made up at the court that day.
Yeah.
That day we shooting, it was like somebody was like, "Look, all three of us standing right here talking about shooting, and all three of us made something completely different." Because we was about to go film the little his ghost jump for the school, and so our filming was, with the cameras and stuff. But one of my older OGs was talking about shooting dice.
Yeah.
And then the other one was talking about shooting somebody. So
at the same time, they had the basketball court and they shooting basketball.
Right, so that's 4. You know what I'm saying? So it's like just that little moment. But it's like even stuff like that is why I can respect them so much, because it's like allowing us to be who we are and not forcing us down those certain paths. Because that's another thing where, having a mentor can go wrong. Because you get the youngins that get sucked up by niggas that be, selling drugs and stuff.
Yeah.
And they'll force the youngin to, yo, sell these drugs for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's one thing I also, will tell somebody, if you're looking for a mentor, make sure the mentor, like you said earlier, is open to, who you are.
Facts. Or, well, to add on top of that, definitely... And I would definitely say this, even for fathers, find somebody who you know for a fact that really genuinely cares, not only for you to be good, but even better than what they are.
Right.
Yeah. 'Cause sometimes, people get really insecure about them not making it to where they wanted to make it, and then seeing you prospering so much faster than what they did.
Right.
And that can grow into a jealousy, and they'll give you the wrong information on purpose just so you can fuck up and be where they are and not above them.
Right.
Yeah. Right. I wouldn't challenge nobody, especially who are younger than me, just to either hurt them or belittle them or whatever. I'm challenging you, of course, with the best intentions to not really, I don't want to put you in any harm whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But, some experiences are going to happen, and it's just kind of it comes with the territory a little bit, no matter what I intend or not. But also, I'm challenging you because I know for a fact, I want you to be better.
Right.
Especially, I would definitely want to do that with my son. I'm not going to have a dick swinging contest with my son. That's my son. What for? You now bring yourself on a lower level. But, you definitely want to do everything for a fact so he can be above you.
Right.
That's the main goal.
Right. Yeah, so like I was saying though, it was a community thing, and them being accepting that everybody is different. Cause we talk about all the time, creating an alternative to what the city is known for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's at first it's people not gonna be completely accepting of it.
No, of course not.
Because this area has been known for pretty much one thing for the last 30 years.
Yep.
So to see somebody else, a group of people come along and just, oh man, when somebody say Forestville, oh yeah, they be robbing and stealing and killing niggas over there. And then now it's just, oh yeah, that's where y'all gonna be shooting videos at. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So now it's it's a balance, and that's one thing I want to preach to people too, because I tell you, I've told you a million times, one word to perfectly describe me would be balance. There's always a yin and a yang. At least I try to keep it that way. You know what I'm saying? Nobody perfect now. You know what I'm saying?
Toxic Teddy shows up. It's a different story.
But you always typically try to expose yourself to something different.
I wouldn't say that, but I wouldn't just shut off to it. Even if I do that in the initial moment, it might be I just don't want to try something new in that moment. But I might come back down the line later on. I'm like, cuz was talking about doing that. Let me at least look into it. And then I communicate with the person. So, people won't just be thinking yeah, that nigga hard-headed, he closed-minded. You know what I'm saying? You gotta understand, sometimes even when you'll pitch me an idea sometimes, I might not be in the mood to want to hear ideas right now. I might be working on my own idea, and if I hear your shit, it's gonna fuck up what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? And then I'll hit you up, what was that you were talking about the other day?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then I'll be like, open to it, and then go from there.
Yeah, that's understood.
Yeah, but as far as like another point that y'all was making earlier, I didn't learn how to tie ties. I got to high school, and that's because we had to do it.
Yeah, I ain't do that shit either. I ended up having somebody tie the jump, and then I like take it off of my neck and shit.
Loosen it up.
Yeah, loosen it up, take it off, and then put that bitch right back on, bro.
Yeah, that was the T. Either that or getting like a female to do it.
Yeah,
because a lot of females know how to tie ties for some reason.
Because they did. It's because like they spent a whole lot of time around like either their father or they spent a lot of time around the like the sergeants and all that other shit that was teaching niggas how to tie ties.
That's one thing I mentioned to before was like, and even in high school, I wish I did ROTC.
Nope.
And I didn't.
Fucking hate ROTC.
And
I don't even think that the idea was pitched to me even at all at any of the years that I was there.
I was telling Mark like beforehand, I was like, the one thing that I did learn in Forestville, it wasn't a lot, but the one thing I did learn was like how to have like a lot of discipline. I was like, whether I used the discipline or not was another thing, but they did teach you how to have like a lot of discipline. Mm-hmm. But to take it back to like, you know, childhood, it was like you just needed help with so much, and it wasn't really nobody to lean on but each other. Like I moved to Maryland in about, I want to say 97, right? Mm-hmm. And I used to live in an apartment complex across the football field, Surrey Square, the White Jones. And mind you, I think I'm 8 when we first moved to Maryland. And my mom was just now like getting the trust in me to like let me go outside. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going outside and it's like, it's niggas fighting. It's people getting hit by cars, like people outside shooting. And it's just like, I never seen this before. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm like, yo, it's like the Wild Wild West out this joint. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I want to go outside, but what am I supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? And then I'm new. So, you know, people trying to make an example out of me. Like, I'm getting into fights and stuff. Like, I want to say, I got into my first fight ever in life inside of a week that I moved to Maryland.
Damn.
Like if we moved in Surrey Square on Monday, I got into a fight by that Friday. I got into my first fight. And then because I was younger and bigger than other people, that's where it came into the equation of like people had to jump me. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't know what was going on, so I used to like call my brothers. And my brother's like super older than me, so that it ain't like they can come around here and help me fight because they'll go to jail. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm calling them trying to get information like, yo, why niggas hate me? What'd I do? You know what I'm saying? And they like, yo, you know, you moved to a new area, you know, you like the odd man out or whatever. You just like form your own little crew or, you know, get to know people or something. And so I'm like, how do I do that? Because I feel like everybody might be after me now. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm thinking if y'all two right here jump me, people see y'all jump me, I can't put up much of a fight because I'm getting jumped. Everybody that's watching know y'all and not me. I feel like the next time I come outside, somebody else might try it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm snacking around in the house and all this and that, and I'm like, damn, you know, I'm sitting on like the front of my building, and you know, my mother, I could tell it bothers her, but what can she tell me? And she not a fighter.
Nah. So
you know, you couldn't really afford like the self-defense classes and stuff like, you know, karate or something. Like, I'm not trying to do all that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying. I don't even want to fight. I just want to be a normal kid. Mm-hmm. Like, I see people at the basketball court playing. I want to play basketball. We at the field playing football. I want to play football.
Yeah, but you got to go through the gauntlet of knuckleheads before you go through anything else. It's just like so much you got to deal with as a kid. It's unfortunate, but it's a byproduct of what we grew up in.
Right, and then in comes, like I said earlier, the forming of a community. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I met like Charles and I met Julius and got cool with them. And then Charles is like super cool. Nobody never fought this nigga the whole time I've known him. Because like I said, he's always been like laid back, chill, ladies man. which is like who I model my life after, pretty much, because that's what I am, or that's what people think I am anyway. You know what I'm saying?
No, don't bullshit now. No, that's what I am.
Yeah. So it's like that's what I tried to be, laid back, chill.
Just say that's what I am. It's easier.
And so then, what happens is, a little time go past, and you start getting to know like the area, and people start getting to know like me. And now, the odds kind of like even up. Because if I see, like, let's say, y'all jump me, right?
Mm.
Now, the people watching not going to jump in it because they cool with me now, too. Oh, I know little cuz, he be with y'all, and he cool, you know what I'm saying? He just be with the females. So now, I see you by yourself. Oh yeah, cuz, what's up? Yeah, you jumping over there? Yeah. Boom, now we fighting. Now let's see what you really can do by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it was. You know what I'm saying? Now that I knew people, like, thank God for them, now I can adapt to the area. So anybody that's like going through that, like, I feel like it's super priority to just become cool with like people in your area.
Nice. I actually undergone that too, because like I used to deal with bullying quite a bit, and of course, like I said, I grew into my body and everything, so not so many people want to fuck with me now. But of course, I always formed brother, and that's what I call them, brotherhoods. Like
Right.
every male friend that I had, it wasn't just my friend.
Right.
I literally was calling on my brother. If you can last long enough, and especially to get into what I consider a small circle, you was my brother.
Right.
If you was coming over to my house to even have a snack, you my brother.
Right.
If I'm spending time with you all day, you my brother.
Right.
So, like, I used to have homies. We used to go to the Bat Cave, which was literally my man's backyard. We would sit there. We got into trouble and stuff like that, but we always had each other's back. And there was actually a time where, like, a whole squad of niggas ran up on us. And it was just like, yeah, like, what's up? And we dealt with the random bullshit with each other. You know what I'm saying? So, like, definitely knowing somebody and making friends and shit like that is definitely a big thing. And it's definitely helpful.
Yeah. So it was like doing that one by one, and then the older I'm getting, the bigger I'm getting. So it was like eventually people would just like stop trying. And then eventually you could like do what you originally wanted to do. I just wanted to chill anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't. It's the thing I never understood about like the whole bullying thing is like it's 100 niggas out here that want to fight. Go fight them.
Mm-hmm.
Like niggas step out this joint every day. Now I wish somebody would try me today. I feel like fighting. Like go fight one of them. Like why fight the nigga that don't? You know what I'm saying? Like why fight the nigga that's just. No, he out here chilling. He ain't bothering nobody.
Cause they don't want to fight for real. They make it seem as though like they want to fight somebody.
They just frustrated about.
They just
something.
want what they really want for real. They just want attention.
Yeah, and that's another point I was going to get to about like the whole role model thing is like. I think you said it when you were saying the attention to detail thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's a super priority as well. Because it's like, it's so much that kids go through. And the parents will never even know.
Mm-hmm.
Or don't even care to know.
Yeah, because dealing with boys, like if they're dealing with emotions and don't know how to control it, then more than likely they'll lash out or go off the deep end and just be in like deep stages of depression and all that shit, like based off of anything that goes wrong in their life because they don't know how to handle it.
Right.
We need a lot of nutrients, like to our roots, for real. Like as a male, I can't really speak for women, but I know for a fact that they need attention too.
Right.
But like things that we lack, it definitely shows for sure as we get older.
Right.
Like it cuts deep.
Yeah. And it's just like, it was so much that I was going through that it felt like a lot of the time, as long as you just came home alive, that was just good enough.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was like, and then the whole, like you said, the whole emotional thing for a man. Like now, when you look back on it, like society is basically trying to program you to be like emotionalist. Nah, you a man. You can't be crying. You know what I'm saying? Or you got to suck it up. You a man. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, you're not allowed to be like that. You a man. You know, and it's like looking back on it, it's like, yo, niggas was really wilding.
Yeah, and then like that would happen quite a bit when I was a kid. Cause like remember I told you like the situations I was put in, like pain was like a very like it's something I grew accustomed to, but tears was like the only thing I was accustomed to after that.
Right,
that was like my natural reaction because the shit I was going through was horrible. But then I would constantly get told, "Oh no, just suck it up, man. Be a man." Like, but you don't understand what the hell I done went through in order for me to get to
The
here.
reason
Right,
why
and
that
that's-
happened is because it was less to deal with, not knowing that it was going to leave more to deal with later. Like,
Well, yeah, I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna finish my points, y'all. I had 30 minutes apiece. Yeah, cause I fuck around, start forgetting and shit. But yeah, it's like when he was telling that part of the story, and I was just thinking like, cause that's what happens. Like they're trying to force you into a coping mechanism instead of teaching you how to heal. And that's another thing. Like that's another point I wanted to make is like anybody that's listening, because it not just if you're looking for a mentor, if you are a mentor, like we got to learn how to heal. Like if you look at how society is run, everything is thrown at people to not heal you, but to just make you think that you coping with something, so you could keep the smoking, drinking, sex, or getting money.
Yeah, we live in a world of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, and it's like people for some reason think that stuff's going to heal you, but nah, you're just coping with stuff, which means you're going to keep enduring said whatever toxic thing you're going through.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's like I've did that for years, and it wasn't until the situation happened like about a month ago, and I told you about it, and it was just. We've all been through traumatizing situations. And you know how you go through a situation and it's like the situation is so traumatic, it feels like life literally like freezes. And it feels like everything is still except for you in that moment. And it's like how I tell you about coincidences.
Yeah.
How I don't believe in coincidences because something always happens. And then when you look back at all the other stuff, it wasn't a coincidence. And that's what happened a few weeks ago. It just made me look back at everything. And remember how I was telling you, like, damn, it's really just like a lot of shit I got to unlearn. It's like, that's what I was going through. And it's like, yo, everything makes sense now.
Yeah, you basically become your trauma.
Yeah. Like, I'm getting traumatized by a person I idolize. And when that happens, I'm just idolizing the person. So now I'm looking at other mistakes I made, and now I understand why I made them. Because when I'm looking for this, I'm really just looking for that in this.
Yeah.
Like when I'm picking a female, the female that I'm picking is because I want this female to be like this. So when I pick that female, now I done started a whole nother whirlwind of fire. And then I'm looking back on it like, that's why you were toxic to begin with.
facts. Yes.
And I went looking for toxicity in something else because at the time I'm blind to your toxicity because I idolize you.
Oh man, he's speaking, man.
Yeah,
Y'all
that's
better
true.
listen.
Yeah,
Y'all better listen.
I live that, so
Y'all
I
better
know
listen to
it's
this
true.
nigga.
Yeah, and it's rare because I normally, you know, when we be together, I normally just let him like drop the gem because him is enough. He's enough. You know what I'm saying?
I'm never enough, bro.
But it's like
don't use
like-
me as a fucking outlet.
I'm not, but I'm just saying like when Mike is around, I normally just let him like speak the knowledge, and I don't have to. That's like the caveat I have with Mike around. I don't have to like drop the gems all the time, but sometimes it's just like I'll still drop one here and there because I feel like that was like life changing to me, and it was just like, yo, damn, everything makes sense. None of this was a coincidence. All of this had to happen the way it happened for me to get to this moment and realize, like, I'm not done making changes like I thought I was done making changes.
Yeah.
And that, because, one of the things you was asking him is like, what could you go back and change? So I kind of just segue into that.
Yeah.
And
smooth sailing with this nigga. There's no cutoff points.
Yeah, so, like, if we that did this podcast a month ago, the answer would have been different.
Yeah, probably would have.
But because we doing it today, it's like, no, I had to go through every single step to get to that point that I realized a few weeks ago, like, I'm not done. Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So,
still growing.
yeah, so it's like, if you looking for a mentor, then all those things that all three of us mentioned will work wonders. If you are the mentor, we even drop some things that they could get. Or if you just like floating through life, like develop some type of family, because that's what we did.
Yeah.
If my sister, me and my sister never had like a friend relationship. I never was like buddy with my older brothers, but I had them. And the older generation, like, they don't understand what it is. They take it as a form of disrespect. But it's like, no, we've been instilled with family values with no family.
Yeah. Like, we were born from the same, like, we cut from the same cloth, so technically we wove ourselves together to make one giant tapestry.
Right. And it's sweet because it's like, we're bros, and if we all outside, we all just having the time of our lives. You wouldn't, unless we having like one of these deep conversations, you wouldn't know what Mike been through. You wouldn't know what I was going through. I wouldn't know what you was going through. And that's the beauty of life, because we all outside making it work, getting through it together.
Yeah. Because we had conversations like outside, there was like some real deep shit.
Right.
Like, because remember when we were standing in front of my house,
Yeah.
we was having like me and you, like we had our conversation off, and then eventually you gravitated towards Coop, and me and like who was there?
That's Tyree.
Yeah, Tyree was there. We was having me and Tyree was having a conversation about sex addictions. Like,
Right.
and y'all having a conversation about something completely different.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like that you don't normally get from the generation above you, because a lot of the times they don't really want to talk about shit like that because their mistakes are something they want to hide instead of actually instilling that same information into you so you don't do it.
Yeah. And it's like you have to, and I beg people all the time, like, Slim, you have to communicate. You have to. Because if I'm addicted to sex and I tell the story, and I'll never know until he come on and be like, oh yeah, me too. Yo, try this. This is what I was doing. This and that. It worked for me. Maybe it'll work for you. Damn, thanks, bro. Let me do it. Let me go try. You never know.
Yeah.
Even if it don't work, it's just a way that I haven't tried yet.
Yeah, and then even if like both of y'all don't really mesh well, you still have something in common you can come to each other for. Just say, you know what? Maybe we can get through this together and eventually come up with a solution.
Right. And then like to piggyback off what you're saying, because there's been times we've been at the park 15, 20 deep.
Definitely.
Having a deep conversation. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about group therapy.
Nigga, what?
Like, you want to talk about like a kumbaya moment.
Nigga, how many times niggas been sitting outside a Coop house and shit just chilling?
Yeah. Like I go home like feeling decompressed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And then that gives me like a memory and shit. I remember I had this conversation with Coop, and who's somebody you really don't think you would learn some shit from based on what he looks like, but you will learn some shit if you have a chance to talk to Coop on a serious level. And he ended up mentioning to me, which is something I take to heart now. It's like you have to look at both parents and you have to make sure that you're not singling one out for their mistakes, because both of them made them.
Yeah.
He didn't say it in that specific way because, you know, Coop, like he keeps it simple. But with me, you know,
Sometimes.
But still,
go over the top sometimes too.
you definitely go. I'm trying to paraphrase because the shit that he was saying was kind of off the wall.
Yeah,
So
I can imagine.
yeah, because like the way he was just trying to explain this shit to me, like you just can't just fault the father. You also have to fault the mother. You have to fault everybody, including yourself.
Oh yeah,
like there's so many different aspects as to why things didn't work out in your life.
Right.
So all of the, like, just pull the veil down. The situation that you have with the parent that you're with might not be all it's cracked up to be based off of what you know and not technically what you were saying, like idolizing them.
Yeah.
So you got to get a chance to take a few steps back, drop the fandom, and then immediately look at the entire spectrum.
Hopefully. Because normally you can't do that until something drastic happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Because if it's smooth sailing, why step back?
that too.
Yeah, like if I'm idolizing Mark and Mark hasn't done nothing bad, what's going to make me be like suspicious of him? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not just going to wake up one day and be like, you know what, this nigga's too perfect.
I understand that, but I'm talking about like the situations as to where you're going through some shit.
Yeah, no, I understand. No, he's right. He's right. Yeah, but yeah, all in all, and that's another thing. Like I like to give credit to like everybody around here is because you gonna get everybody's been through so much.
Mm-hmm.
Cause like I was explaining to Mike, and it's like around the time that you had first moved like around here, and I was explaining to Mike like we've all been like outside together for like 20 something years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not to sound like a know-it-all, but niggas been through a lot when it comes to this type of stuff. Now you might when we talking about like other like literature or something like that, or anybody in general, somebody's good at cooking, you might got me there or something like that. But when it comes to like this kind of stuff, because I think we did we was even doing a podcast a few podcasts ago. We was having some conversation and we was talking about something. And I think we was talking about somebody was going through a situation, and I was saying that's crazy because I went through that when I was like 11. Remember that? And I forgot what we was talking about. And it was like, that's crazy that people like, we in our 30s and people falling for that. And I was like, I went through that when I was like 11. And I've learned my lesson then. I'm not falling for that shit now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's just like experience is also a good thing to pass on.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, bro.
That's my that was all the points I had to make, so I'm done.
Shit, we had to learn some shit growing up.
Yeah.
Bro.
And we still learning, man.
Yeah, it's you're never done.
It's definitely never done, but it's always best to build off of that with the next generation, which is something that we need to definitely take account. Like we have to really jump on that immediately.
Yeah.
Because it's some very, like, how do I put it? The children nowadays, now I don't even say all of them, but a lot of them are so misguided based off of the shit that we're talking about now that they haven't even gotten a chance to, like focus on yet. They're still going through the motions and don't know what the fuck is going on. They have no idea that they're going through some shit.
Yeah, we need the kids to listen to the podcast.
Yeah. Well, for those who are listening, obviously you found the channel. The comment section is open. Feel free to reach out. If you're also on Instagram, my plug is so real. That's OSO real _ Mark Anthony. Y'all want to throw y'all plugs in there?
Well, mine at I am Tony Michaels. They all lowercase, nothing like that. Just I am Tony Michaels. And
Teddy Blackman, Teddy _ Blackman, MON. Can't be saying it because people be trying to be black man.
We try to be busy, but feel free to reach out, man. You know, communicate if you want to try to get a little bit of advice or whatever. We like to really talk to the fan base, man. So, you know, like I said, we just a click away. But this has been another Breaking the Narrative podcast, BTN for short, and we are out of here.